Hi, welcome to Punch Perfect Boxing and episode 3 of Fight Talk. Before I start, I'm going to do the usual housekeeping. If you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe because it helps us keep the channel going and growing. So thank you very much. Right, so tonight what we're going to do is have a look at the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Mikey Garcia. Now when this fight was first announced, my heart dropped and I thought to myself, it's a mismatch. It's a big mismatch. And it's going to be another Khan, Canelo, Brook, Golovkin scenario. And yeah, I didn't take much interest in it to begin with. And I put it to one side. And then as the time went on, I really rate Mikey Garcia as a fighter. I really rate Errol Spence as a fighter. But I thought you've got to give Mikey and Robert's his brother and his trainer, you've got to give them two things. One, massive respect for stepping up and taking on a boogeyman like Errol Spence. And two, that they're very wise guys. They're very intelligent guys in the world of boxing, Mikey and Robert. And they must see something in Errol Spence that they think they can capitalise on. Now Mikey Garcia, probably one of the most fundamentally sound boxers that is currently fighting. Doesn't do anything flashy, he just has got those fundamentals down, he's got them pat, and he improvises on them. If I have a young fighter that I'm trying to drill in, you've got to learn the fundamentals before you can take your boxing to another level. I'll get him to watch Mikey Garcia and I'll say to him, look, Mikey does all of the things in a boxing ring that are fundamentally sound, right? And then he improvises on top of that. Not much, he doesn't stray very far from it, but very, very few times will you get Mikey making a serious mistake in a boxing ring. So in saying all this, I thought to myself, they must, like I said before, they must see something they can capitalise on. So saying all this, would I bet on it? No. I wouldn't bet money on it because, like I say, it's a huge mountain to climb. Mikey's giving away height, he's giving away reach, he's giving away strength, he's giving away all of that stuff, weight, all of those things, right? So it's a massive mountain to climb. And like I said, would I put money on it? No, I wouldn't. But what I'm going to try to do in the next 10-15 minutes is I'm going to try and maybe put out some of the ways that Mikey can make it competitive. If Mikey gets to the end of this fight and he wins it, we're talking about one of the greatest upsets in boxing, and one of the greatest upsets in boxing, because it will be. Because like I say, he's at a massive disadvantage in every department, but can Mikey get through? I think with his skills, his ring IQ, and also something else we're going to bring into the equation, he can adjust in that ring. So let's have a look at some of the game plan Mikey and Robert might put into place to beat Errol Spence. Right, now, one of the things that Mikey does really well, especially with southpaws, right? Errol Spence is a southpaw. That means his lead hand is his right hand, his power hand is his backhand, and Mikey is the reverse. Lead hand is his left hand, and his backhand is his strong hand, the right hand. Now, one of the things I always say about fighting southpaws is engage the lead hand. Always say, because it upsets the rhythm. So if you're ever fighting a guy who's in the opposite stance to you, keep that lead hand out and parry with it, fence with it, because they hate it. Because it doesn't allow them to set up any rhythm, it doesn't allow them to get into any flow. Rigondeaux was great at this. He used that lead hand as an early warning system. What he would do is keep it out there, and you see it mostly in the fight with Nonito Donaire. Right? Keep that lead hand out there, and he'd fence, he'd parry, he'd be looking for opportunities, right? And then as soon as Nonito Donaire got aggressive, he would kind of try and push that hand out the way. Rigo knew use it like an early warning system, and we'll step out of the way and make Donaire reset, or step back far enough to make Donaire step in and then counter him. So Donaire would come in frustrated, trying to get past this kind of fence that was out there, rush in, make a mistake, and it would allow Rigo then to create an angle, because he knew Donaire was coming in to attack, being aggressive with that lead hand. So, and then he would counter. So saying all that, I think it's a great idea, and I always use it. If I'm with a southpaw, I'll always keep my hand out there and kind of fence with it and look for angles and look for little opportunities, and it usually drives a guy in an opposite stance pretty crazy. Also, I think it's really important in this fight that Mikey, for the first couple of rounds, uses it as a scouting mission. He needs to be in there and, like I say, see what's in front of him and then start to put into play his game plan. The other thing that Mikey does really well, and you'll see it with southpaws when he's fighting southpaws, is he circles out to his left, which would be Errol Spence's right. Circles out, slips the jab, and then counters with his own jab. He's got to make sure those counters are on point all night long. So, like I say, let Errol Spence come in, throw the jab, and either slip it or step over and circle out to his left and then counter over the top. Great technique, and Mikey does it really, really well. Now, the other thing on the jab is Errol Spence loves to come in. One of his signature moves is he loves to come in, throw the lead hand, his right, change levels, and then throw the power hand, the backhand, to the body. So throw the right hand, change levels, come down, and then throw the backhand to the body. Loves doing it. Now, Kell Brook versus Errol Spence. Kell Brook saw him coming in a few times doing that and would counter with the lead left uppercut. So as he comes in, Mikey's either got to block it, parry it, and then as he tries to throw that shot to the body, comes in and shortens the distance. Mikey responds with that lead uppercut. You see, Mikey's great at that lead uppercut. See him in the fight with Salido. Great at setting that uppercut up. So another thing that Mikey needs to do, he needs to start taking away all of Errol Spence's weapons. The other thing that Mikey does really, really well is when somebody's coming in and being aggressive, Mikey, and throwing shots, Mikey doesn't have a lot of head movement, right? Minimal head movement. But what he likes to do is take the punches on the gloves. And what he'll do if somebody's getting aggressive and throwing a lot of punches, he'll step back and take the punches on the gloves, but minimizing the impact because he's moving away. What Mikey can't do is stand there all night and take punches even though he's blocking on the gloves, because with a bigger, stronger fighter, that will wear you down. So Mikey has to put a lot of things into play. He has to start taking Errol Spence's weapons away from him. The other thing Mikey can't do is get caught on the ropes. Cannot square up on the ropes because Errol Spence loves to come in one, two, and then a body shot. And Mikey can't afford to do that. So Mikey needs to manage the distance, and he needs to do that by, like I said at the beginning, keeping that jab on point, right the way through the fight. The whole fight, for the whole 12 rounds, he needs to have that jab working. And when that jab lands, then throw the backhand, because Mikey loves throwing the 1 and the 2, and he's brilliant at it. So he needs to discourage Spence. I don't think Mikey has the power to really hurt Spence, but he needs to confound, confuse, and frustrate him. So Mikey needs to use that great footwork that he's got. It's not the flashiest footwork in the world, but it gets him in and out of position. And you'll also notice when Mikey's attacking, right, that once he's landed a couple of shots, he'll take himself off the centre line and change the angle. So his opponent's there, he's landed a couple of shots, he'll take himself off the line and then maybe throw a hook, right? So he takes himself out of danger, out of the way of any return fire, and then catch his opponent with another shot, usually a hook, right? So Mikey's great. It's a bit Loma-esque, if you like, Lomachenko style, right? Not as flashy as Lomachenko, but he does take himself off the line and change the angle. It's not a bigger step as Lomachenko, but he likes to make those steps out to the side. So he'll land a couple of shots and then change the angle. So he takes himself off the centre line. So if you land a couple of shots and you've changed the angle, it's very difficult then for your opponent to adjust to you. So for some reason I always think back to the Michael Watson fight, when McCallum came out, and from the very start he started taking away Watson's weapons. He took away the jab by countering it, catching it, countering it, doubling up on the jab, tripling up on the jab. And every time Watson threw a shot, McCallum would, I say, single jabs, double jabs, triple jabs, and in the end Watson got, every time he threw a jab he would get countered. So he started to throw the backhand. Then Mike McCallum would then bend down, let the backhand go over his shoulder, and then start responding with body shots. And little by little, every time that Mike Watson tried to do things, tried to adjust and everything, McCallum would take those weapons away from him and close him down. And then once he got him in a state where Michael Watson's really confused, if I throw a jab, I do this, if I try a hook, I do this, he does this, and then Mike McCallum in the second half of the fight really poured it on. He started up his famed body attack and started to destroy him. Now, this is what I think Mikey Garcia has got to do. He's got to take away Errol Spence's weapons. Like I said, the signature jab, change levels, punch to the body, yeah? Or another thing that Spence likes to do is likes to jab and then step back. The moment he steps back, Mikey Garcia needs to counter that. Like I say, Spence loves to catch people on the ropes and start throwing shots. Mikey has to use his footwork. He has to use, as soon as his back hits them ropes, it's got to be like an electric shock and move out as fast as possible. Again, I know fans don't like it. Mikey's got to tie him up, lean on him, frustrate him as much as possible, because this is the way he's going to win the fight. I don't think he's going to knock Spence out. I don't think he's going to hurt Spence very much. So I think the way forward is to confuse, confound and frustrate, and Mikey needs to use all those fundamentals. He has to be on point every second of every round. He cannot afford to lose concentration. And I think if Mikey does that, he's got a good chance of staying in the fight for 12 rounds. But like I said, Mikey's fighting a guy who's very strong, spars guys at higher weights quite regularly. I know he spars like heavyweights at times, Errol Spence down in Dallas, and he's used to being in there with bigger, stronger guys, and he's a very strong guy himself. So Mikey, even though I know he's gone in there and sparred regularly with Madonna when Madonna was before Madonna fought Floyd and stuff, and he sparred with bigger guys. So Mikey's also used to being in there with bigger guys. But what's going to happen in the course of a 12-round fight without the bigger gloves, without the headgear, like I say, he cannot afford to take an accumulation of punches. Mikey likes to use blocks and moving back away from punches to negate the power on them. But like I said, you can't take full force on your gloves being a smaller man the whole fight, because yeah, you're going to negate some of the power, but it builds up if you've got somebody firing bombs at you the whole time. And like I say, he's got to be very, very wary of those body shots. If you look at Robert Easter out of an orthodox stance also managed to throw the jab and the backhand to the body, and Mikey was caught a few times with that, but Mikey adjusted and closed that down. He's got to be very, very wary of that in the first few rounds with Spence, because being a smaller man especially, you don't want to take an accumulation of body punches. So saying all of that, I really like Mikey Garcia. I think he's a great fighter, nice guy, and I wish him the best. It's an impossible task, but one I'm going to be watching avidly, and I hope he does it. Now, if Mikey stays in there for the 12 rounds, and even though he might not win and has a good account of himself, does everybody see him then moving up to 147 permanently? Because I have a feeling that it might be very difficult for him to get down to 135 and 140 now. I think it might, as he's getting older, if you do those weight losses over and over and over again, it gets to be a point in your life where you just can't. You can live on water for 3 days and you still don't lose that extra pound. It gets more and more difficult and more draining. So maybe his plan is to go up to 147 permanently I hope so, because I don't like fighters coming down, especially when they put bulk on. Mikey's put a bit of bulk on, not a lot. I think it's really detrimental to a fighter's health and well-being, coming back down in weight. So the very last thing I'll say, I would like Mikey to come in around in the fight. All right, he might weigh in at 146, 147, dead on the weight, but I'd like to see him come in at nothing over 147, because again, he's not used to it. He might have done it in sparring, but he hasn't done it in a prize fight. And again, you might be wonderful in sparring, you might be carrying 150 pounds, 160 pounds, and it's all great, and then you get in a 12-round fight, especially this one where it's going to be a war. I think, you know, it's not the same. So I think to come in as near as possible to his sparring weight. So I'd like him to come in nothing over 147, because I think anything more, like I said, it builds up on you and it has a very, very tiring effect. If you see the great fighters, like Andre Ward took how many fights to adjust to light heavyweight? That's how you do it. You know, you adjust. You know, you go up in stages. I think Andre Ward had a couple of fights at 172 before he went up to 175, just to get used to carrying that weight, and that's a sensible weight. So Mikey needs to come in about 147, not over that, not blow up to 150, 154 or whatever on fight night. I think he needs to keep his weight around about 147, be ideal for him. And the other advantages of that is that he's going to be faster. You know, you don't want to be carrying that extra weight and, you know, and start tiring. I think when Mikey is in the fight, he needs to be as elusive as possible. So he needs to be, like I said, not blowing up to a huge weight. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts, guys and girls, and you know, if you've got any thoughts or comments, please put them in the comment section and they will be answered. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.